won the right to resume protesting outside the group's Dublin headquarters. Internationally, the group was also in the headlines as the French government criticised a court ruling recognising it as a religion, and the group was certain to continue to cause outcry both here and abroad. Scientology, however, is just the most visible of the plethora of new religious movements or cults which have attracted an estimated 50,000 Irish people into their ranks. The practices of some of these movements can be alarming, but their members insist on the right to respect for their religions and sometimes claim they're being discriminated against and harassed. So, is Scientology a bona fide religion or a sinister cult which breaks up families? David Nally reports.
Its origin as the creation of an American pulp science fiction writer from the 1950s may seem bizarre, and many of its beliefs even more so. But Scientology, a mix of religion, pop science and personality cult, is growing fast throughout the world and in Ireland. Over the last 20 years, Scientology leaders, including its late founder L. Ron Hubbard, have been convicted of fraud and dirty tricks in France and America, while courts in Britain and the US have described it as corrupt, sinister and dangerous, its founder as a pathological liar. Former members have accused it of harassing themselves and other perceived enemies. It claims it has the path to total freedom, but newspapers and magazines have called it a greedy business which squeezes money out of its members with a zeal that drives some to suicide, a claim supported by the French courts. All of this leaves Scientology devotees unimpressed.
These are allegations that are made by people that don't include our members. I don't know what to say. Any religion through history has had its critics, and ours is no different. You know, you go back to the early days of Christianity, obviously you've got people being thrown to the lions. Jesus Christ found guilty in a court of law and sentenced to death.
Most of the people who get involved in Scientology wish to find out for themselves what the truth of it is, and they come in and ask questions of us. They've heard all of the bad stuff in the media, but they decide they want to come in and find out for themselves what we have to say.
Wherever it goes, Scientology is followed by protest and legal actions, and Ireland has been no exception.
I believe that Odhran, my brother, was abducted by the Church of Scientology. He has been coerced. He has made false allegations against the family. And I do, as I say, I know my brother well, and I know that it's not him that has made these statements. He has been coerced.
How are you doing? Free personality test there.
The Fortune family's anger and distress won national attention, and it eventually led here to the High Court in London. The Church of Scientology sought an injunction to keep the Fortune family and their supporters away from its English headquarters. Odhran Fortune supported the Church of Scientology in its case against his own family, and afterwards he insisted to us that he hadn't been brainwashed.
I'm free to do what I want.
And have you been brainwashed in some way?
As I say, it's absurd.
Well, why then did you leave under such apparently sudden and mysterious circumstances? Why don't you talk to your family on your own?
I've attempted to. I was in this building last Friday to talk to them.
They say that they can't get to talk to you alone, though.
Well, that's not true. I actually did talk to my mum and dad alone.
So you've no problem talking to them alone anytime?
Not at all. I want to have a good relationship with them, like I've always had.
They say that you're shepherded around by minders, by Scientologists all the time who tell you what to say. Is that the case?
Well, I'm not being told what to say right now, so...
Okay. All right, Odhran. Thanks for talking to us.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
With that, Odhran returned to the house in which he is staying near Scientology headquarters, along with his Scientologist companions and the solicitor the church had provided.
He was a very pleasant, very outgoing and cheery little boy. Always in devilment, even at school.
He met a girl from Denmark, so I arranged for him to get a loan to go over, you know, and that's when he got involved over there. He was doing, I believe he was doing menial jobs there, and he's also had a flat, and he wasn't able to keep up the repayments, that's what I understand. And that's when he became involved. He met a Scientologist there that introduced him to Scientology then.
Ma'am, he says, he rang me one day in a cell and I says, I don't think I'll get home for Christmas. We're terribly busy. I said, look here, Odhran, I said, how come? I said, you're so busy. I said, you must be making plenty of money at this stage. You know, you're making so much money, are you? That you're so busy. And he didn't answer me. He says, I may not get home now, I'm not sure yet. And I went furious on the phone and I said, of course you're coming home for Christmas. Everybody comes home for Christmas. Denise is coming, and if you're not coming, we will be over for you. He came into the kitchen and I knew he was coming, and I knew it was him, just barely knew him. And I said, hello, Odhran, but I paused for a minute before I went to put my arms around him. And I looked up and I said to him, not verbally, but just with my inner feelings, is it, Odhran? And he said, he put his arms around me, and he said, hi, ma'am. And I just felt bones. And I just said, what is coming home to me, to myself? I said, what has gone wrong? He never appeared home in such a state before. Even his eyes were just going around the kitchen in a daze. He was dazed looking. He just was incapable of walking out, going anywhere. He remained in his bedroom most of the day.
Mentally, he just was not the Odhran that we all knew. He had changed so much. He wasn't hardly talking or anything like that. At first, I didn't talk at all, to be honest with you, but then he did get a conversation now. You only get about 2 sentences, and then he kind of just seems to switch off and he'd stare back into space again.
Odhran had intended going to America to pursue Scientology, but instead he stayed in Gorey for 5 months. His parents say his stay was voluntary and beneficial, if initially reluctant. But Odhran himself now says he was held against his will while experts were brought in to deprogram him.
Odhran told me when he came home at Christmas to visit his parents, individuals, members of his family and these so-called faith breakers actually held him against his will and tried unsuccessfully, as we've seen, for over a period of 5 months to try and force him to give up his church. See, and they were, in fact, Odhran claimed they kept him up for 25 hours at a stretch, you know, without sleep, without food, bombarding him with negative and total false information about our church to try and persuade him, to try and break his convictions in his church, you see.
I take exception.
It was a late show debate on Scientology in 1995 which first crystallised the Fortunes' worries about the group and made them resolve to dissuade Odhran from his involvement.
I am very angry with what Scientology has done to our family, what it's done to numerous people.
Scientology
people have rang me.
Nothing to your family.
Let me finish.
Since the day you and I first met, PJ, since the day you and I first met over the telephone,
You're a rude person.
I'm a very rude person. It has been an incessant barrage of letters and threats from you.
I knew about Mr. Phelan, and he gave me the name of a person that I could speak to. I asked him...
Mr. Phelan is a family from the Late Late Show.
Yeah, from the Late Late Show, yeah. And I spoke to him, and he told me about a person that would be able to help me.
Bonnie Woods was one of those to whom the Fortunes turned. A Scientology member for 8 years, she rose to a senior level, but is now one of its most hated enemies.
I am a Christian counselor.